Hello everyone, welcome to another very exciting episode right here on the MIgardener channel. I'm so excited for this episode because it is beautiful out. It is so sunny and it's so warm, and spring has finally sprung here in Michigan. So I am so elated to see that, because I was beginning to think spring was never going to arrive, but it is here, and I'm so happy about that. So we're out here just doing some garden chores, and I wanted to bring you all along to talk about till versus no-till gardening, because it's a question that does come up quite a bit on this channel when we are filling up our beds, because there's a lot of people that might have poor soil that till, and they think that they're kind of going to be demonized by the no-till crowd. And so I'm really going to just level the playing field and talk about pros and cons of both, because I do think that gardening is not a one-size-fits-all solution. What works for me might not work for you, and that's why I like to talk about pros and cons, because then you can look at really your situation and what fits your situation. So the method that we choose when it pertains to till versus no-till is we tend to go in more of a no-till approach. No-till gardening is based off the premise that we are touching the soil structure as little as possible. In a more natural soil column, you'll have soil that is more broken down below, and you'll have your fresh organic layer on top. That's really what we're doing here, is we are taking the soil that is broken down below, and we're leaving it. We're not disturbing it. We're actually taking fresh organic matter and putting it on top, because we like to emulate more of a forest floor, if you will. The forest floor does not have things turning it up year after year. And so it begins to have a very natural cycle where the organic matter breaks down, it begins to compact a little bit, and then it makes room for new organic matter that then will fall from above. Obviously, we don't have trees here falling, so we're simulating that by using compost, and that's really what we're at here. Now, the benefits to this is it leaves the soil structure as intact as possible. Again, that natural settling process of sand, silt, and clay will happen in a natural soil structure. It allows for good drainage. It allows for good bacteria, good fungi to live in the soil. Because when you till your garden, one thing you are doing is you're sacrificing some of those bacteria. Because I'm going to simulate here, if I were to take my pitchfork and turn this over, we are now exposing all those beneficial bacteria and fungi to sunlight, which does end up killing them off at the soil surface. It'll kill them off. And also what it does is it's turning in that humus, which is not naturally found below the broken down soil layer. So the humus should always be on top in a no-till method, because the humus, its job is to protect the soil. It actually acts as a little insulative barrier. When you turn that in, yes, you are affording yourself a little bit better soil structure if you don't already have it. But if you have something like compost, pure compost in your beds, or you already have very good, rich, well-draining soil, no-till should be the method that you're going for, because you don't need to till that organic matter in. You would be far better off to have a no-till garden, because the benefits of this organic matter being on top of the soil is, like I said, you're going to provide a better home for those soil microbes. You're going to insulate the soil, so it's going to be cooler in the summer. It's going to allow for better moisture control, so it's actually going to hold on to that moisture where the roots are and where the roots need the water. And then also what it's going to do is it's going to actually begin to break down, and it's going to actually feed the soil below it. If you till your garden, you're actually going to be mixing up that soil. So we're going to take it, just simulate a small little portion here. All of that good nutrient-rich organic matter you just put on top is now below, or it's mixed in with that soil that was originally below it. And now you have just kind of a homogeneous mixture of organic matter and maybe poor soil or maybe broken down soil. And the broken down soil, the poor quality soil, is not as high in nutrients, meaning that when the rains come and the organic matter begins breaking down in what you just applied, it's going to leave the soil. It's going to actually leach out of the soil and be further down than plants can reach, meaning you're going to have nutrient deficiencies far quicker. So those are some of the reasons why we no-till and some of the benefits of no-tilling. So now let's talk about tilling, because after all of that, you might be wondering to yourself, what good does he have to say about tilling? Because it pretty much sums it up that tilling it ruins the soil structure. That is only if you already have good quality soil. Many gardeners, especially down south, even places up here, even in Michigan, I know there's places like our cottage garden, you could honestly make pottery with some of the soil up there. The soil quality is just very, very, very poor. And so for those that live in a poor quality soil environment, having a garden in ground or just by throwing compost on top really won't do a whole lot. In fact, it sometimes will end up leading to a worse garden because the natural soil structure has not been built yet. So you have clay, which it basically acts as almost like a bedrock layer, and then you have soil, or you have your organic matter right on top of that. When heavy rains come, your organic matter is just going to wash right away, and that's the main reason why there's not already good soil structure there. Because over time, you'll find that grass will break down, that grass breaks down and adds to the organic matter layer. And then over time, trees will begin to grow up, and then the trees will then drop their leaves that'll add more organic matter. And that's what builds a well-established forest. If the ground you're looking at has bare spots and it cracks and grass is hardly having a good time growing, that's because the soil has been degraded over time or was never built up in the first place, leading to just basically dead soil. And so by putting good soil on top is not going to just fix the problem overnight, and you're not really going to have a plantable garden. By tilling that into the clay or the poor quality soil, you're going to basically re-amend that soil, you're going to fix what was broken, and you're going to prevent that really good nutrient-rich soil from just washing away. It's actually advantageous to do that for your first couple of years if you have bad soil, because it's going to kind of allow you to, number one, actually have something to plant in. It might not be great your first year, it might even be great your second year, but over time it will build up. And then once your soil structure is built up to where you can stick your hand through without breaking a knuckle, then you can slowly work towards a more no-till approach. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with working towards a no-till approach, because the end goal is a no-till garden. That is really what I do want you all to achieve, is more of a no-till garden, because it is honestly the most natural and it's the most conducive to having a successful garden, especially if you're an organic gardener. Because the beneficial microbes and fungi found in an organic garden is what's so crucial to having a successful garden, and those only thrive when the soil structure is left untouched. So I really do hope that you understand that there's nothing wrong with tilling, but I do hope that you all understand that feeding the soil is crucial and building that soil is crucial. And as long as you're doing that and working more towards a no-till approach, it's fine. And the final thing that I want to end on is that a lot of times people correlate no-till with like back to Eden wood chip style gardening, and that's just not the case. You don't have to have a back to Eden style garden and have no-till. I'm doing no-till in a traditional raised bed setup because that really works for me. Other people really like kind of the more permaculture style gardening where you grow in wood chips, and that's great too. That's another no-till method that you can implement in your garden. But you don't have to either, because this is clearly working just fine for us. And again, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. So I do hope that you all enjoyed this episode. I hope you all learned something new. And I do hope that you get out there, grow big or go home this year, and we'll catch you all in the next episode. This is Luke from the MIgardener channel reminding you to grow big or go home. We'll catch you all later. See ya.